Hi everyone, and welcome to Outlet on Screen. I'm Delaney Ruth.
And I'm Brian Kerp. On today's episode, we'll be talking about how COVID-19 is affecting Athens and its surrounding communities.
I know some of my favorite restaurants and coffee shops have been shut down because of COVID, and it's been really hard on the people here. Reporter Anya Zalian sat down with some of these business owners and talked to them about how COVID's affecting their business.
It's nothing new after about 6 months of state orders related to COVID-19.
When you walk up, you got to put a mask on, and you then have to order masked up. And when you go to the restroom, you have to be masked up. But when you're seated at your table with your friends, family, whatever, you don't obviously have to have your mask on.
Jackie O's has made a lot more adjustments than just requiring masks. One of their 3 locations is all outdoor dining with a window to order and pick up your drinks. And the Public House restaurant uptown is reservation or carry-out only. Inside, there's a table in between where customers sit and where servers take their order.
And a lot of people have told us that they've never felt safer, and they're only eating at our place.
But this doesn't mean business has been anything like a normal summer and start to the school year.
Uptown's business is down 70 to 75% on the year, and I don't really see that getting fixed this year.
Doing enough business to keep the doors open isn't the only challenge. He and his employees also have to enforce COVID precautions like masks.
But yeah, we have had to ask people to leave, but you know what, Anna? We've had to ask people to leave every Friday and Saturday for 15 years. What else is new? Yeah. Which, it's the nature of the business. That's what happens sometimes. It's just odd that you have to do it when there's 40 people in the room as opposed to 180.
Brennan's Coffee Cafe has a similar policy.
They're not going to come up from behind the counter and confront somebody, but we certainly are going to tell somebody we're not going to serve you. If you're adamant that you're going to come in here and not wear a mask at all, then we're just not going to serve you. You need to go somewhere else.
The pandemic has affected Brennan's in other ways too. A few weeks ago, they decided to shut the doors for 4 days after 2 employees tested positive.
So when we had 2, again, the health department had said you don't necessarily need to close down for a long time, but once we had 2, we decided let's just take some days, let's make sure everybody's healthy. Most everybody else said let's just all go get tested. Everybody else was negative. Again, we had closed on a Thursday. The health department basically said you could open back up, but we said no. Let's just take some days. Everybody relax, mentally take a break from this whole thing and start again later.
Jackie O's also chose to close down, but for a few weeks rather than a few days. In July,
But it was like 6 bars shut down, and then all of a sudden our reservations spiked on like a Wednesday evening at 8 o'clock. And went from tables that were all eating food to some tables that were all just drinking. And we're like, okay, we're done. Because that just means that we are probably not helping the problem.
both owners say they took that time to reset and take a break.
Thanks for the good work, Anna. And I know a lot of restaurants around Athens are giving out free meals to people in need, one of those being Tavolino on Tuesdays. Delaney, you caught up with the owner of Tavolino, didn't you?
Yeah, I did. You know what? Everyone needs some help every once in a while. There's nothing wrong with it. Luckily for Athens County residents, there are many free meal programs in this area, so no one has to go hungry. For almost every day of the week, there is at least one restaurant or church that gives meals out to people. Absolutely no questions asked. One of those places is Italian restaurant Tavolino in Athens.
We did start not long after the whole shutdown and everything. And it was because everybody, lost their jobs or they weren't working because their job was closed down. And, it's something small that we could do. It doesn't, fix anything, but it can help.
Every Tuesday, Johnson offers lunch from 11 to 2, and people can take as much food as they need. Tavolino is far from the only resource available to those who need a free meal in Athens County. Many churches and nonprofits in the area also have free lunch and dinner meals prepared for anyone who comes through their doors, including the Athens First United Methodist Church on College Street and the Friends and Neighbors Community Food Pantry. A full list is available at 211athenscounty.org.
Thanks for that, Delaney. It's so great seeing Tavolino and other businesses stepping up and offering meals to people that are in need.
Yeah, we have a lot of great free meal programs here in Athens. We are super lucky. And local businesses and restaurants aren't the only thing that has changed because of COVID. The classroom has been changed so dramatically, a lot of us wouldn't even recognize it when we go back.
Yeah, and photojournalist Chris Day actually went into one of those socially distanced classrooms to see what it's like for students that are attending in-person classes.
That's right, I was glad to document the changes to classes now that Ohio University is transitioning into Phase 2. These photos focus on Travis Gatling's Jazz 2 class for dance majors and non-majors, and shows what a normal class looks like while adhering to COVID-19 precautions. Gatling, who is the director of the dance program at OU, said he and the other professors practice on how to teach both the students who are present in the studio and also those who chose to remain online. The class was moved to a studio in the Ping Center to accommodate proper social distancing. Gatling said as a professor, you gradually build a tolerance for any technical issues that may come up because it's worth it for the students that can be in person. He said, I can sense the hunger for this kind of interaction. These students seem to be longing for it.
Thank you, Chris. That was a super interesting look into the COVID classroom and how things are possibly going to be changing for us when we hopefully go back into the classroom. But someone has to be there to keep these classrooms clean and try to lower the infection and the spread of COVID-19. Brian, you actually caught up with some custodians and talked to them about what they're doing different, right?
Yeah, Delaney, with thousands of students now attending classes on campus, the custodial staff of the university is tasked with deep cleaning buildings around campus. And after some staff cuts in May, keeping these buildings safe for students and faculty is an even bigger challenge for these custodians. I caught up with 2 custodians to get their thoughts on how they're handling things. With more students back on campus during Phase 2, the Ohio University custodial staff's job is even more important. To help slow the spread of COVID-19, the custodians are using EPA-approved disinfectants that destroy the virus to keep common spaces and high touch points, such as door handles and railings, safe for everyone. 2 custodians, both choosing to remain anonymous, put their top priority on these areas.
And I clean the bathrooms a couple times a night, and I do the door handles 2 or 3 times a night. And as people come and go, I try to make sure I double touch it up and make sure the safety is there for all of us.
All high touch areas get it constantly. They do it, I do it. It's a repetitive motion all night long.
With a shortened staff, these custodians, both with several years of experience at the university, have to take on a larger workload, sometimes cleaning several buildings in a night or even entire buildings by themselves.
Being by myself, it's kind of hard to continuously every 5 minutes to do it, so I got to kind of like go between the 4 floors. It seems like a lot. I feel like I'm constantly on the run. I need roller skates to make it nicer, but I don't have a pair. But I mean, we're doing the best we can, but we're really understaffed.
Even with a smaller staff and a heavier workload, the custodial staff is doing its job with one goal in mind.
Just trying to make sure that everybody stays as safe as they can and getting the building as clean as we can keep them.
You know, Delaney, you have to give a ton of credit to all these custodians. You know, they work long hours just to make sure students can continue to go to an in-person environment and learn.
Yeah, Brian, thanks for bringing this to light. I don't think people realize how much custodians and janitors really do for all of us students. And while a lot of things here at OU and in Athens have changed, one thing has kind of stayed the same. Reporter Joe Collins has a story about that. Joe?
That's right. 1 month after becoming the first conference to postpone their fall sports to the spring, the Mid-American Conference reversed their decision and MAC football is back.
Over the summer, it was always unclear whether or not sports would be played. Everyone was waiting to see who would be the first conference to postpone fall sports. On August 8th, the MAC did just that, moving all of its fall sports to the spring due to the coronavirus pandemic. Soon after that, followed the Big Ten and the Pac-12. However, not all of the conferences followed these 3. Some conferences said they were still playing, and their season started on schedule. Ohio Bobcats football offensive coordinator Tim Albin talks about what it was like for his team to see other teams playing in September.
I think Saturday, September 5th came, and there were games on, and it was a beautiful 70-degree, sunny, no clouds in the sky, and we were supposed to have a home opener and didn't. That was a tough day for the guys. I actually reached out to, as many guys as I could on the phone, watching games, knowing it was going to be tough, especially the seniors,
Over the next few months, many players of the schools that were not playing started coming together to form a movement that had the very popular hashtag, #WeWantToPlay, citing sufficient testing, effective social distancing rules, and the long months they had put in training as reasons for them to play.
There was our players got together and, basically had a movement, and it was a big topic of discussion. I think, other schools joined in, and you may or may not have seen the message that all the schools in the MAC put out there on social media. It was going through. I think that was without question 100% player driven.
Their pleas were not ignored, as first the Big Ten announced their plan to play college football this fall, then the Pac-12, and finally, on September 23rd, the MAC became the final conference to say that football would be back. The plan calls for a 6-game, conference-only schedule that will start on November 4th, and will end with a conference championship game on either December 18th or 19th in Detroit, Michigan. Due to the unusual season, with not every team playing the same amount of games, every team will be bowl eligible.
Oh, you already know I'm really excited to see Bobcat football back at Peden Stadium. I'm hoping they have a successful 6-game season and maybe make it back to Detroit for the MAC championship game.
Yeah, well, I don't know a ton about football or sports in general, but I'm really excited to have something semi-normal here in Athens to look forward to.
Well, that about does it for this episode of Outlet on Screen. I'm Brian Kerp.
And I'm Delaney Ruth. Thank you guys for joining us. See you next time.